valedictory function, and the Guru was giving the Upadesha to the students about what they should be doing. So that gives us a glimpse of the karma which is expected by the scriptures. And we saw how elaborate it is. It is not just surviving. Surviving is definitely part of one's duty, one's dharma. But it is much more than that. And it's very comprehensive. So it becomes very important to know. Because we keep on talking about karma, 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 karma. But then what is karma? We have assumed that we know what is karma, what is our karma, what is our dharma. So that was introduced last time. Then we talked about the devas, the devatas. And devas or the devatas are the personified form of the different elementals of this universe, different principles or different laws of this universe which governs the functioning of this universe. And they are very much, they are not inert or abstract matter. They are very much alive and they respond to our requests, our prayers, and that's how it works. Then sometimes people may say, okay, suppose I pray to the Varuna god, Varuna Deva, and pray for rains. And I prayed, but there was no rain. Well, there may be many reasons. There may be others who may be praying that there should not be any rain. And that could be one of the reasons. The other reason could be that it is not the season. And a lot of other forces are working, which is not allowing the rain god to produce rain at that given moment. So it is like that. They do respond, but whenever there is a possibility of showing the response, then definitely the response do come. But when there are other factors which are working, then it may appear that they are not responding, but they do respond. Then we will be looking at those shlokas. Shloka number 10 and 11. Rajesh ji, if we can see them. Yeah. Saha yajna praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadhvam vostvishta esha vostvishta kamat. So the Prajapati, the creator, created this whole creation along with what? With yajna. What is yajna? We discussed last time. It is an offering to the different elementals of this universe. Okay, and they are also part of this Ishvara, because in the vision of the Vedas, Ishvara is everything, everywhere and everything. So any part of this universe also is part of that big Purusha, that Ishvara. And then this yajna is offering to those devas. What do we offer? We offer a symbolic material as well as prayer. So it is more like an emotional connection, connecting with the devas acknowledging their contributions, um, showing our indebtedness, and showing our gratitude towards them, and lovingly offering them something, which involves some kind of sacrifice, something which goes from us. And that is what makes a yajna. So yajna means an offering which involves some sacrifice, which involves a sense of gratitude, which involves an attitude of prayer, and to acknowledge whatever we are receiving and thanking them for that. So all this makes a yajna. And that's how we get connected with the entire scheme of things. We are not disconnected individuals, but someone who are connected with everything around us, living, tangible, intangible, abstract things, everything we are connected with. And how do we connect? Every day we offer something. Still in India, we see in houses, they before making the food, they will make some items, some chapati or something, for the birds, for the dog, for the cow, and then the remaining food is prepared for the entire family. So even those creatures around us, they are partakers of this food, and they form this whole ecosystem, and we acknowledge that, and they also have the right to over that food. It doesn't just belongs to me. Just because I have purchased it, the food belongs to me. No, that is not enough. There are other forces which are working, which makes the food available to me. Otherwise, just a day before, or 2 days before, I don't remember, I read in Sri Lanka, the food prices have gone like anything. Food has become unaffordable. So people used to have money for food, but then the inflation became so high that milk, food, and everything has become almost so difficult to buy. Lot of money and very little they get, due to various factors. So on these factors, one of the factors is less production. The food which they require is not being produced as much as they are able to consume. And that is one of the factors. Of course, there are other political factors and so many other factors. But ultimately, it is this one is the most important factor. So devas are working to provide us with food, with shelter, with so many, all the articles which we require in this universe. Even the functioning of my body, the functioning of my different organs, tissues, the devas are involved, because those principles of this universe is involved to keep me alive. To the hunger comes at the right time, and then the food comes at the right time, and the fire, the digestive fire, works and digests the food, and I remain healthy. If enough food is there but there is no hunger, it is of no use. I'll fall sick if I eat, or the whatever I eat doesn't reach. It doesn't reach as a nutrient to my body. Hunger is as important as the food. In fact, as per Ayurveda, if we eat food without hunger, it leads to creation of what they call as ama. Ama is toxin. It is just like putting ghee in fire, which doesn't have flame, which has been put off. And wood which is burning but without flames, and in that if you put some ghee or some oil, then what happens? Unless the flame comes up, there will be too much of smoke, and it becomes very toxic. Similarly, with our digestive system, if we eat without hunger, it leads to toxins. It creates toxins within our digestive system. And if we ignore that and continue with that, it leads to, that toxin gradually penetrates into different tissues of ours, and wherever we have the weak point, it will start showing up. It may show up even in the lungs, congestion of the lungs. It may show up in the joints, pain in the joints, or it may show up even gums. Gums can start giving problems because of the accumulated toxins. So hunger is as important as the food, and hunger is followed by the hunger follows certain rule of this universe, and there is a deva involved, the Agni Deva, the Jatharagni. So yajna becomes, the spirit of a yajna becomes important. With the spirit of yajna, when we live, every day there is a yajna in the smallest form. Like I remember during my childhood, first we used to have this fire out of coal. Okay, it was a coal fire in which the whole food was being cooked, and lighting up that coal itself used to be a project. I remember as a child, uh, first we will burn some wood that catches fire, and then over that we put that the rock coal, and then that catches fire, and then uh, the fire is ready, and then the cooking starts. And the first thing which my grandmother used to do was, um, some bits of rotis she will take, mix it with some ghee and some sugar, and then 5 times she will offer to the that fire, the coal fire. And then one chapati used to be for the cow, and then one more chapati with 4 pieces. So that will be either for the one piece for the dog, and 2-3 pieces he will keep outside the window, so that some crow or some other bird will pick up the roti piece and then go away. So that used to be her way of performing that yajna. Okay, so that was Panchamahabhuta yajna. And traditionally it is said that along with this food, one has to keep food for the guest. And my Guruji used to say that in his village, during his childhood, he has seen that they would, before starting partaking the food, especially during lunch hours, somebody from the house will go outside and look for somebody, if some needy person is there to eat food, and if somebody is there, they will offer food to that person first, and then the family will take their lunch. So offering food to unknown person, a stranger, uh, was one of the part of the ritual. So this is all this is done in the spirit of yajna. First we give, then we partake. So there will be in the next to next sloka, I think in the sloka number, we will come to that. I think 12 or 13. Wait, which one? Yajna sestasya santah muchyante sarva kilbishaihi bhunjate te tvagam papa. That is in 13. Okay, we'll come to that later. So yajna sesta asinaha. Yajna sesta Asinaha means a person who eats the leftover of the yajna. What does it mean? After having offered to the devas and to other people whatever he has to offer, then whatever is left out, that part one eats. That person who eats this way is called Yajna Seshta Shinaha. Okay? And Yajna Seshta Shinaha Santaha Muchyante Sarva Kilbishai. A person who does that and who lives like that, he is freed from all the kilbishaha. Kilbishaha means all the sins, all the different small sins or big sins, omissions and commissions, which by mistake or inadvertently even performed. All of it, one is free, becomes free from that. Bhunjate te tu agham papaha ye pachanti atma karanat. And previous sloka is Istan Bhogani vo devaha dasyante yajna bhavitaha tair dattana pradayebhyaha yo bhungte stena eva saha. So Lord Krishna is using a very harsh language. What does he say? That these devas nurtured by you. How do we nurture? Through the spirit of yajna. These devas will provide you everything, and they do provide you everything. And anybody who consumes without giving it back to the devas, okay, they are verily a thief. Such a person is a thief, because the person, without showing the gratitude, without giving it back to the devas, if the person consumes, so that person is like a thief. And the next shloka is Bhunjate tu agham papaha ye pachanti atmakarana. And the person who cooks only for himself, cooks means consumes. Here it is all kinds of consumption. Only for himself, that person is actually eating sins, is partaking only sin. So Krishna is very heavily means using a very strong words, that a person who doesn't share before consuming, such a person is a thief and is partaking only sin. So this is the spirit behind the yajna, that we offer the things before we consume. And even in the Ishavasya Upanishad, Tena Tyaktena Bhunjithaha. Tyaktena Bhunjithaha means while giving up or giving away or distributing, a person consumes. And that kind of consumption doesn't lead to sins. It doesn't lead to the addiction towards sense objects, because you share first and then you consume. That takes away the sting of addiction. And if one is not aware about it and one simply consumes, then it leads to sins. It leads to sins means one becomes addicted to it. One becomes, gets the attitude of this is my right, this is my thing, I can do whatever I want. And then it leads to further problems. And we have discussed that. As I told you, 1 in every 5 houses, 5 families, I find in northern part of India, there is a case of depression or emotional paralysis or addiction or something. One member is just gone. Why? Because the bhoga buddhi, consuming for myself, it is getting on the nerves, and no connection with the with the different forces of this universe, no acknowledgement. They don't even know about it. And what all they know is what we have gathered, and how to make use of it. That leads to problems. In fact, dealing with mind, because mind has this survivor attitude, this survivor instinct, and this survivor is this surviving person is focused only on one's own consumption, and that person becomes greedy. That person becomes selfish, and that leads to so many problems. When you become greedy, you become selfish. You won't even know where is the boundary, where the consumption should start, and where it should stop. That boundaries are no more there. And once those boundaries are no more there, that leads to a lot of problems. That is where I say in the families, the whole atmosphere is of my rights, my demands. Everybody becomes demanding and very much acutely aware of one's rights, but doesn't know what is the duty, and doesn't have that sense of gratitude, the sense of giving back. Those things start getting they start missing. And once they start missing, and then there is a disaster. There's a tension in the house, fights. And if it happens in early childhood, then that child is lost, doesn't want to do anything. Everything the child demands from the parents, the parent has to do. It's parents' duties. And then what is his duty towards the family, towards the parents, towards the society? Don't ask. And then gone. The case is gone. Similarly, as I said, the average shelf life of marriages have gone down. Again, why? Because we create an environment, we create an ecosystem which is a demanding one. Everybody is acutely aware what he or she wants. The husband knows what he wants from the wife. The wife knows what she wants from the husband. And this is what is taught by the parents, because this is how each one is coming from the similar demanding families. And seeing the parents and demanding relatives, this person becomes demanding. And when two demanding people come together and they get married, how long will the marriage last? There will be problems. So they are not acutely aware of the duties, but they are acutely aware of their demands. And that's how, and they compare it with other spouses, other couples, and they say, look how much that person is demanding and how they are surviving, they are flourishing. And when you start comparing like that, and when you start becoming demanding, how long things can last? Things break up. And that is what is happening. The shelf life of marriages are going down. Marriages are no more irreversible. They have become very much reversible. There was no Sanskrit word for divorce, because that concept didn't exist. But now we have, we don't still have the Sanskrit word, but we all know they use the word talak or divorce. Why? How all this happened? Behind this is the missing of these, this attitude of offering. The yajna attitude, the yajna spirit is missing. And because of that, gradually it percolates in the psyche of each member of the family. And then it leads to breaking of homes or degeneration, because the marriages break, they don't produce children, so the lineage is broken gradually. And this is how it happens. Why? And that is what we call as success, successful living. How? Yes, I could accumulate so much and I could enjoy so much, and I could, okay, keep enjoying. You will remain alone. What will you enjoy then? So dealing with the antidote to this set of problem is yajna seshtasya, having that attitude, having inculcating those habits where first I share, then I partake, okay, as prasada. This thing helps me counter this that demanding person in me, the deprived person in me. Otherwise, always I feel deprived and victimized, and the reaction is I become demanding. And when I become demanding, I don't know the boundaries. All problems. Okay. So that is why he said, Bhagavan says, Bhunjate te tu agham papaha ye pachanti atma karana. The one who cooks for oneself. As I said, cooking is not just food. One who just consumes for oneself, gathers for oneself and consumes only for oneself. He or she is consuming only the sin. Okay. This is the why that word sin was being used, because it has effect later on. It gradually percolates and destroys families. Next set of shlokas, Rajesh. Now there is a Karanamala. Karanamala means cause effect, cause effect, cause effect relationship. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavaha yajnad bhavati parjanyah yajnah karma samudbhavah karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthitam. Before we get into this set of two shlokas, I just recalled, even in the Kathopanishad, we find uh, this young boy, Nachiketa, he goes to the Yama, okay, to because his father sends him, and he has his own queries. But the Yama was not there when he reached his Yama's place. So, in the story, it is said he stayed at outside Yama's house for 3 nights and 3 days, possibly. And it is mentioned 3 nights, but we include that 3 nights and 3 days. So when Yama comes back, so the first thing what he offers to this boy, because he's a Brahmin boy, and he's a guest, and he remained without food for 3 days. So he says that I'm sorry about it. I was not there. So first thing, to please you, I want to offer you 3 boons. Why? Because Atithi we discussed last time. The one who doesn't have a Tithi. Tithi means a date, a lunar date. Okay. Date is right now it's solar dates we know, but a lunar a date according to the lunar calendar is called a Tithi. And Atithi means the one who has no prefixed date and it just arrives suddenly. That person is called Atithi. So Atithi, he was there at his house, outside his house for 3 days, and Atithi is like a fire, and unless you quench that fire, it can burn the house. That's how it is said, and therefore, even it is shown in the Upanishad, in the story, that even Yama was afraid that he couldn't do enough for this Atithi. And so he had to compensate that with 3 boons. So how important it is we treat an Atithi. Okay. This goes with that practice of first looking for somebody. If somebody is hungry for food, first offering the food to that hungry person, then partaking. So those things are connected, because anybody outside can be considered a stranger, can be considered an Atithi. Well, that was there in the culture when it may not be directly applicable in your locations, especially during winters. Who will be roaming around for food? I don't know. But then there will always be somebody who will be in need of food. I'm sure about it. There are places where they keep food, and some people will come and then they will take away the food and eat. I've seen that in Dubai especially, and I have heard that similar things exist. There is a refrigerator or an almirah where you can keep the food, and those who are hungry, they know where the food will be and they will go and take it. So in a different form, the same thing can be practiced. Okay, so annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava yajnad bhavati parjanyah yajnah karma samudbhava. So there is a sequence from the annam. Okay, not human beings, but we are talking of human beings. The beings come, and from where the annam means food. Then from where the food comes from Parjanya. Parjanya means the clouds. That means the rains. Okay. And then from where the clouds come from Yajna. And from where the Yajna comes from the Vihita karma, the karma which is prescribed. Now, listen very carefully. I recommend, if possible, those who are interested, they should read that book, The Chaos Theory or The Chaos. Now, in that chaos theory, they have something called a butterfly effect. What does it mean? Mathematically, it can be proven then that even the flying of a butterfly can cause a chain of reactions which can lead to a thunderstorm. So that's very interesting, but it is mathematically proven that it is possible under certain circumstances. If there are no countering forces, then simply a butterfly flapping its wings can lead to a thunderstorm. Of course, there are other factors too. Small ripples in this universe can bring huge effects. That's what the chaos theory says. Okay. And it's a very mathematical book. It has nothing to do with scriptures or this or that. So if a butterfly can bring thunderstorm, why not a yajna can bring rains? Definitely it can. So it is not like, how can we believe that yajna can bring rains? No, it can, because it is some action where some smoke is rising, some movement of winds, and that can bring movement of clouds and rains. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthitam. And this karma comes from the Vedas, and the Vedas come from the Supreme. Therefore, that will of the Supreme flows in the entire set of karmas. and through the whole chain into the karmas, and then the karma leading to um, mm, clouds, clouds leading to annam. Annam means food, and the food bringing creatures. So this is how the whole cycle works in this universe. And evam pravartitam chakram na anuvartayati iha yaha aghayurindriya ramaha mogham partha sajivati. Krishna is very harsh in his words in these all set of shlokas. That so this is the chakra. This is the chakra. The karma is flowing right from coming from the mouth of the Supreme in the form of the Vedas, and through those karmas, the yajna is performed, and the yajna brings the cloud brings the food, and from the food comes out the beings. And anybody who disturbs this or doesn't follow this wheel of creation, okay, or goes against it, that person is is wasting his life. His life is in vain. Okay, it's a useless life, and there's no purpose in living. So the life is wasted, wasteful life. So one goes through this whole chain, and one is aligned in this cycle, and that's how one lives. That brings prosperity, that brings happiness, and that is not rubbing against the order, whereas doing anything opposite to it is rubbing against the order and getting hurt. Oneself gets hurt. So if I don't want to get hurt, and I want to live a purposeful life, a satisfied life, a contented life, okay, then I understand this wheel, this chain of flow of actions, and I align myself according to it. And that brings me happiness, contentment, or freedom from sorrow, as we say. So this is how these shlokas go, and one has to understand this. And this attitude of yajna, this attitude of giving, sharing, then partaking, this attitude of being demanding later, but giving first, it brings a different softness in one's swabhava, one's nature. And that person becomes more pleasant, and things become comparatively smoother compared to others. Okay. And that is how one gets immune to the addiction of what? Sense objects. Otherwise, one is addicted towards sense objects, running after it, chasing it, becoming demanding, becoming irrational, whimsical, and creating problems for everybody, for oneself and for others. So one comes out of this. If the attitude is of yajna, of offering, of gratitude, of sharing, of yoga. So with this, we stop here, and I throw open the session for questions and answers. Anybody having any question or any comment, please.
Actually, just observation, right? Like you said, the performing the yagna in the form of giving to somebody, right, before you consume.
Right.
So in Canada, actually, we don't have street animals or no cow or no dog. But
Right.
what we can do it here, that's what we have been doing. Like we
Mm.
sell the bread every day morning,
Right.
and the squirrels and birds come, and that is how we can cultivate that sense of gratitude. And feeding the bird
True.
also one of the way we can do it here. That is
True.
also we do it. So
True.
that's one alternative we can have it, because we don't have atithis or needy people outside or
I understand.
street animals.
And I understand very much. You see, I tell you, even later on, mm, uh, see, this was when the coal fire was there. Okay. Then my grandmother could offer this ahutis, okay, with food over the fire. But then later on, the gas stove came. Now there is a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
If you do it, it gets clogged, the burner gets clogged, and it is no more functional. Then what she would do, first few months she would still ignite a small fire separately and offer, but it became too clumsy. Then she found another shortcut. She would, every day, she will keep separately some atta, you understand, the flour?
Yeah.
Flour. And she will keep separately some atta, some sugar, some ghee. Then on Sundays, she will light the fire, and all the atta of the whole week she will knead and then prepare a roti, and then she will offer in the fire. So that was like an alternative arrangement. So it is not the action as such that is more important. What is important is the attitude behind it, that feeling of that I must do something, some alternative I must do, and that is enough. That is yajna. One can keep some food or some money or something aside, and then when the time comes, from that bank, whatever you have made, you give, and that can be done.
Because we have the food bank here concept,
Right.
so that is where people can give it. That's a concept is there.
Okay. So something can always be, I mean, if we know the spirit, then the action can be modified as per the need of the time and place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Any other question?
I welcome Harry Handa. He is joined today for the first time.
Right. Welcome. Welcome to our session. I hope you could listen to the whole thing.
You are muted, Harry ji. You are muted.
Okay. Is it all right now?
Yes, fine.
Yeah. Now we can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, sabko meri namaskar. I really enjoyed Acharya ji's, Guru ji, whatever you guys call, I don't know.
Yeah.
But guide me how we can address to him. And in future, I will try to be on time. But this time it took me a little bit time to. My daughter is also there, Sarah.
Oh, great.
Me to join it.
Nice.
Right.
Good.
So it was very
welcome.
Nice. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if there are no questions, then we stop here.
Anybody?
Anybody, please?
That's okay. So we can end now.
Right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you.